Turning our focus now on the higher education and training sector, Team South Africa has scooped 8 medals out of the 16 categories contested at the World Skills Africa competition in Swakopmund, Namibia. The results were announced following a week-long and successful competition in which South Africa only participated in 14 of the 16 skills categories. Now, of the 10 countries that competed in the competition, South Africa walked away with half the number of medals, leaving the other half to be shared among the other 9 African countries. Higher Education and Training Deputy Minister Buti Manamela joins us now to talk about this competition and more. So nice to see you. Welcome.
Thank you so much, and it's good to see you once
It's
more.
been a long time.
Yeah.
So is this what happens when the state of disaster ends? We get to see you in person.
Of course, yes. I think we're quite happy that now we can come to studio. So
yeah, it is so nice.
Yeah, thanks
it
to
really is. But what's nicer than that is the fact that this World Skills competition. Tell me about it. I must say, this is one of the first times I'm hearing about it, even though it's probably been around for a while. But talk to us about this.
Look, I mean, of course, the World Skills have been around for quite some time. We have started strongly taking part in the World Skills about, 8 to 10 years ago. But this is the second one that we've held in the continent. And probably the biggest that we've had in the continent. The last one was in Kigali, and compared to what we had last week in Swakopmund, I mean, we sent out participants in 14 competitions. So basically, and maybe let me give this background. So World Skills would be about 60 to 80 countries competing in different skills categories. They could go up to 60, 70. So that's what's going to happen in Shanghai. So we have then the regional competitions, which is what was happening last week. But we're also planning for the national competitions, which is in June. So we get especially students from universities of technology, students from TVET colleges mostly, but also workers who are in the factories and all of that to come in and compete on different skills. It could be carpentry, plumbing, bricklaying, but also skills such as mechatronics, 3D printing. So it's a combination of what we refer to as traditional skills, but also future skills. So we were competing last week against 10 countries. From the continent, and in preparation for the World Skills that will be held, later in the year. And we're quite excited with how our kids have performed in Namibia. So if you think Olympics, if you think, World Cup in terms of soccer or cricket, so this is, that kind of competition. I mean, you should have seen the excitement and the exhilaration amongst the competitors, but also the nerves that gets involved with just being part of the competition.
So I can imagine. What kind of categories are we looking at when we talk about the skills, and we have one? What was it? 6 of the.
So So we're participating in 14.
Yes.
We won, for instance, gold in bricklaying, in web design. We won in what else? In I think joinery. So I think the intention is to get our participants to go and showcase what is it that we're capable of as a country in the category of skills. But I think, for instance, our participants in cooking and also in restauranting did quite well, and why this is important is because these are the skills which are almost regarded as non-essential, non-important, and do not necessarily have that status in society. If someone says I'm a cook or anything, so it helps us to put all of those skills on the agenda, on the map, to show that you cannot just be without the necessary skills. And we're quite excited with how all of those participants performed.
That's fantastic. I mean, I'm very upset that Kenya topped us when the hospitality skills came in, but we'll get there, because I mean, our hospitality and our industry here is of fantastic standards, but obviously that is a big point to look at. One of the other interesting segments that I found quite interesting was something with regard to water technology as well, and that is something quite interesting to look into. And I imagine that is a skill that we need.
No, most definitely. And I mean, the student who participated in the water technology skill is from the TVET, the Bembe TVET College, who have been doing quite well in what they believe are the skills that they need in that particular region. You know, it's a young lady, quite bubbly, and was very excited to be there. It shows also a lot of potential. And I think what I also need to emphasize is the participation of industry. You know, what we always mourn about is the fact that what happens in our institutions of learning and what happens, and that there's a disconnect between what happens in our institutions of learning and also what happens in industry. So there is a cooperation between our institutions of learning and industry in preparing learners, but what it also helps us to do is to get the the readiness, the extent of development in terms of technology at industry level, and how we can integrate all of that into our curriculum. So the technology, for instance, that was used for the water technology skills is going to be quite helpful. It's some of the big companies that are here, some of them international, is going to help us quite a lot in getting our students, both at TVET colleges and at university, to be ready at the time when they have to go into the world of work.
Well, I mean, you know, this is all fantastic accolades towards the youth and the skills that we're showcasing to the continent, and then, of course, as you say, once we reach the global stage. But we're always bemoaning the fact that we just have a lack of skills in the country. However, we're winning these competitions and looking good. But so where does the gap come in? So why is it that we can win competitions and yet we still have to import such scarce skills and much needed skills, as you're speaking about, into the country?
Look, firstly, I think what the Department of Labour and Employment are doing in terms of ensuring that we get to absorb as much local skills as possible, I think is going to be very crucial. But secondly, we are experiencing an important transition, at my time and probably at your time, which is not too long ago. A lot of young people aspired to be in a corner office wearing suits and ties, and that was somewhat the appealing job. So what we've been doing over the years has been to bring back excitement around these so-called traditional skills, wherein you've got to wear your blue overalls, you've got to go and be a plumber, you've got to be a welder, you've got to be a bricklayer, because these were somewhat neglected and were seen as not being fashionable. And so the work that we've been doing around the decade of the artisan, which is to encourage more and more young people to take up these kind of skills, but also which is what I was saying to the competitors, that what they're showing is that for one to be to be employed or self-employed, you don't have to be in a suit and tie. We've done comparisons in terms of earnings between plumbers, whom we now have in abundance because of the decades of the artisan program and many other skills, and it shows that artisans and much more than the different other skills. And we really want to encourage young people who are doing their matric or grade 12 to consider going to study in our TVET colleges and universities of technology. I know those have always been an afterthought, but these are the places where we have the skills that will prepare them to be work ready. And what we really want to be seeing moving forward is young South Africans being excited about these skills, which were not really regarded as fashionable, as cheesy, but these are the kind of skills which will help us build our economy in our country.
And it is so important, because I mean, these skills are life skills that, you know, you put back into your country, and it's just a phenomenal thing. I mean, I'm reading about some of the competitors, and I'm also looking at the Twitter page where lots of photographs have been posted of these young stars, and I really think we can call them stars. I mean, from automotive motor mechanic apprentices to you name it, all of these skills. So scooping 5 gold medals, 2 silver medals, and a bronze in these respective categories. So it's automotive technology, we'll go gold. Fashion technology, gold. Plumbing, gold. Hairdressing, gold. Mechatronics, silver. Cooking, silver. And web technology, bronze. I mean, these are highly important skills. They really are. So once we move, do these winners and these sort of gold medalists and whatever else, do we move now into the world competition, or is there still the nationals to take place?
Unfortunately, because of the COVID regulations, we couldn't have our national competitions, but we're planning to have our national competitions in June. So they will still participate in national competitions, but they already have an added advantage. And I doubt that any of those who've gotten their gold and silver would not perform well at the national competitions. And then those who win in their different categories would then go to Shanghai for world skills. We are looking at participating at more than 40 of the skills at World Skills, and we're hoping that we'll do well. I mean, for the last 2 competitions, one in Kazan and one in Brazil, we didn't really do as well as we did in the regional competitions, but we think this will give us the necessary energy and oomph for us to do even much better.
Fantastic. And when does it happen? Do we know dates as yet?
So the Shanghai will be in October.
In October.
And the national competitions will be in June.
Well, we need to invite these youngsters into the studio. We need to speak to them and inspire others to follow in their footsteps. Because as you say, there are so many options and employment paths that students can take. It's not just about going and getting, your degree in terms of what you do here, but it's how you use these that are so important, and that's what these guys are doing.
That's an important point, because there has been this mentality that if one goes to study in a TVET college, I went to study in a TVET college, so they say, no, this one is good with their hands, and this one is good with their, I think we should deal with that, myth that when one goes to study in a TVET college, it's because they're only good with their hands. Because you still need to use your head.
Oh, very much so.
You still have to use your head. You still have to do have the theoretical grounding and foundation for you to understand, how machines and all of the stuff that you're going to be working with operate. So when we do the national competitions, we really want you to be part of that. I think it will help us to give exposure not only to the skills that will be competing on in there, but also to encourage the rest of the other young people that this is the kind of careers that we could actually pursue and even compete at that level in terms of skills.
So you can actually you can't enter now. I mean,
well, you can't enter
not for this year, but for
not for this year. But definitely, yes, definitely for so the World Skills is every 2 years, which means the preparations thereof will be starting as soon as we're done with this year.
Fantastic.
And we will try and make sure that as much information as possible is available, so that we can unearth the potential that is out there and have more young people participate.
And there's so many. There are so many. It's absolutely amazing. So let's leave it there for now. Congratulations to the World Skills team that went out and did exceptionally well for South Africa. So let's now watch them. October is where they go onto the global stage, and we'll see how South Africa goes in this skills challenge. So Higher Education and Training Deputy Minister Buti Manamela talking to us about these incredible individuals, and also looking at the TVET sector and how we are, I suppose, working towards improving the number of those skilled individuals that we get out of there. Remember the target, 30,000 qualified artisans by 2030. So yeah, let's see how we get there. Let's take